Hello, friends. We are back here at Google I/O, live from Google I/O at the Shoreline. I'm your host, Arthur Soroken, co-founder of Google's AI Futures Fund, a place where we strategically invest in startups that are building the future of AI. Again, yesterday you saw a lot of great products that were announced at during the keynote and the developer keynote, but those are all 0 to 1 on the inside. Those are 0 to 1 products that Google's talking about. What I'm here to do is talk to some of my AI Future Fund portfolio companies and family members to talk about the 0 to 1 innovation that's happening on the outside. So I'm very, very excited to introduce my guest, Madhav, who is the co-founder of Emergent. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. For a quick question before we get started, I'm asking all the guests, is this your first Google I/O?
It is my first Google I/O in person. Yes.
In person.
Yes.
Okay. Favorite launch so far, announcement?
I would say it has to be Omni.
It's got to be Omni.
Yeah. It blew my mind.
Good. Mine too. You and I share that. Well, let's go ahead and start. There's a lot of people listening here. There's a lot of people who are just builders, tinkers, entrepreneurs, people who are starting companies. And, first part is ideation. How do you come up with the idea? So how about you talk about how you talk about, Emergent.
So I think I'm glad you started on that because I feel like, there used to be a term where like people used to say the idea guy used to be a bad term previously because, hey, you come up with a lot of these ideas, but you're never going to implement
Never execute it.
Yeah, but thanks to AI, now if you are an idea guy, you're actually much more powerful, right? And tools like anti-gravity and Emergent are helping people take their ideas to the next level. You don't have to just be in the ideation mode all the time. You come up with an idea, you just prompt it, and boom, it's ready. And the kind of like when we kind of like entered the scene of app building, we saw that even this promise is not completely fulfilled. Like people are saying that AI can take you through, but what ends up happening is that nobody's closing that last mile, where when you build an app, you also want to hand it over to your end users. So with Emergent, our idea was that, hey, can we build an AI app builder which helps small business owners, entrepreneurs, take their ideas all the way to their end users and ship it all the way through. And so we end up building Emergent, where our app builder, AI app builder, lets you build an app which is production ready, full stack app. It can be a mobile app, it can be a web app, and you can all ship it all the way to your end users.
Great. I'm obviously a big fan, end user, but there's a few players out there.
Yeah.
You made it sound really easy, but there's something clearly different about what you're doing. So, there's a few players out there. What are you guys doing differently?
No, I mean, it is a crowded space when we entered, and since then we have kind of broken through the noise. I would say it's only been like less than a year for us since our public launch, and we are already at 100 million in annualized revenue run rate. We have like around 10 million apps being shipped, 9 million users on the platform, so it has taken off. And to your point, there are other players in the space, but the main place where we focused our energy on was delivering on the very simple promise that if you want to ship production-ready app, are we able to ship the kind of production-ready apps that an engineering team would be proud to ship, right? And so what we did was we thought through hey, how does an engineer ship an app, right? They think through the design process, they think through end-to-end testing, they build the backend, they build the database, and so we baked all of that in during our process. And our coding agent is one of the world-class coding agent. It was ranked 1 on Swebench verified benchmark a couple of times, and so we basically gave that developer-grade coding agent in the hands of developers and non-developers, and allowed people to build production-ready apps from the get-go.
It's incredible, and it's mobile, it's web, it's agents, it's all the things.
Yes. And so one of the other core insights for us was that, hey, if you want to build a world-class app building platform, you cannot just stop at coding agent. You also have to build the infra around it. So we heavily run on Google Kubernetes cluster. Our infra is built from ground up. We do not use some third-party sandbox. We build our own sandbox container technology from the ground up. And what that allows us to do is that whenever agent gets stuck, it gets real-time feedback as to what is going on. Is the database down? Is the backend server down? And all that feedback happens all locally on the machine on which the agent is running. And that allows us to basically rapidly iterate without necessarily involving human in the loop.
Totally. Yeah. And you're already starting to get into it. Where you're building it, et cetera, Kubernetes, et cetera. What about the AI aspect? I'd love to, let's jump into the product just a bit. Tell us a little bit about the models.
I think we are very of the opinion that we want to like give the best bang for buck to our users. Our users also sometimes price sensitive, so we want to make sure that they don't overspend. So what we do is behind the scenes, we run a lot of evals around which models are doing well. And then what we are able to do is we are able to segregate tasks. There are certain tasks where Gemini outshines, like for example, front-end UI development, right? And so there are other tasks for which some other model might be useful, right? So we basically are able to on the fly figure out what exactly his user wants, which tasks can we delegate to model A versus model B, and handle all that orchestration ourselves. So users don't have to think about it. We also allow users to build very AI-enabled apps. So if someone wants to build, hey, I want to build a photo booth app, and I want to power it with using Nano Flash or VO3 or something, users don't have to go and like get API key. We handle all of that behind the scenes. So they just come and they prompt their way into building those AI-enabled apps, which I think is going to be the future. Most of the apps are going to be like AI-enabled going forward.
That makes total sense. And then, so today in the product, some of the Google products that you're using Gemini, using Flash.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the things we are doing is like Flash is really good at speed, and is a surprisingly good like tool calling model as well. So what ends up happening is Flash can be your front, the person you interact with on the personal basis, on a daily basis, and then that can delegate further to other models like Gemini 3 Pro, other models for heavy duty tasks. And the Flash being fast means that you are very responsive.
That makes total sense.
And in fact, we launched a new product where now you can actually build the app on the go. The inside name is Wingman, but we'll probably launch with a new name. And the idea is that if you strike with an idea on the go, you can just text your Wingman and it'll build the app on the go.
I love that. Well, let me ask, I know a lot of builders out here too models are launching all the time. I mean, you're at I.O., we just launched announced a bunch of series of models. How do you keep up with like what's coming and how to balance? I mean, you must have a pretty sophisticated harness and eval system, but curious how you would give advice to folks that are also building in this space. Where
I think like a lot of the work happens behind the scenes, and a lot of you really need to invest a lot in the tooling, in the evals. And I would say like sometimes people kind of underestimate even doing manual evals. People think, hey, everything has to be automated from the day one. I would highly encourage people to even just take the time to even build manual evals where like there's a human who's evaluating things as a very first sort of gatekeep to get a sort of like that vibe sense of like which model is doing what. And obviously you also want to quickly follow that up with automated evals. And so once you've done a lot of that work behind the scenes, then you're able to iterate rapidly, right? The new model comes up, you can like quickly run through those evals. But we also do like online live testing with users where we are able to like see how does this model perform live in a production setting.
Oh, interesting. And how does that look in product? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, like, both Mukund and I have worked at Google, and Mukund, my co-founder brother, was part of the Google search team in New York, and so he knows how like at Google like there is this whole concept of like experiment velocity. How can you experiment at scale? And like figure out from the signals that you're receiving which experiment is like pointing in the right direction and like is statistically significant. And so I think that's where like you are able to separate the models out. Like, hey, is this new model improving the business metric? Is it improving the conversion? Is it improving the retention? And how is the usage tracking when we launch this model, right?
I love that you guys spend so much time on that. It's important as.
And actually, one counterintuitive thing is that like sometimes when you see a model becoming smarter, it may on the surface seem that the price has increased, but because the model has become intelligent, it'll actually spend less time.
Efficiency.
Yes, efficiency. Yes. So it's not always, you shouldn't just always look at like what is the price per token. You should actually run through your tasks, because for your task, it may be that it's not doing anything dumb anymore.
Right.
And it's just doing the job better.
More efficient and higher quality. Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yes. Well, let me ask you this. I'm sure you have lots of hero use cases of real human stories. I mean, do you have a quick one that you might want to share?
Oh, no, I mean, like lots of stories, and those are the most heartwarming part of building this startup, right? And one of the things we are like focused on is small business owners and entrepreneurs. We feel that like developers nowadays like have access to a lot of these tools, but like for non-developers who are domain experts, they don't get access to these. So for example, like we have a person who is based out of Norway. He has a day job, but on the side he has built. He has a real estate license, so he does like moonlights as a real estate guy. So he built kind of an Airbnb clone, so to help his customers, find the rental properties, explore it on their own. So I mean, it's kind of mind-boggling to me that what would take like 100K budget to outsource to a dev shop, now you can sit and build over a weekend by yourself. And this particular entrepreneur, like, he likes to call himself like a business developer because he's not a developer, but he has the business knowledge, and now all he has to do is like just put it into practice.
I love that you guys spend so much time with your users too to pull stories like this.
Oh, 100%. Like, it's mind-blowing, and I think it's very empowering to hear these users. Some of these are pretty, like, some of them are retired folks who have like come out of retirement now. They're like, hey,
right,
now I can build it, like build the ideas that I have. You know, I'm probably like a world expert in some niche domain, and now I can use my niche domain knowledge.
Let me ask last question here. As far as, you know, AI has moved quite quickly, models ship quite fast, but it took some time. So from idea that you had to, you know, model was actually capable to support what you did, like how did you think about that? Like, was there a time where you said, like, it's that feature that allows me to build this app right now? Yeah,
it has been a journey. We have been riding the model sort of like growth ourselves, and like when we were part of Y Combinator Summit 24 startup, and our first original idea was to build end-to-end UI testing agent. And while we were building this, we realized, hey, we might as well be able to automate the entire software development lifecycle. And at that time, like, models were good, but like it could do like a few things, and so we had to do a lot of engineering around it. But as you progress further and further, you can delegate a lot of those things to model themselves. And so we kind of bet in the direction of model improving, right? So we are saying, hey, we are not going to over-engineer our system as well. We're going to assume that models are going to get better and better. And let's just give model more agency.
Smart bet?
Yes.
You took a smart bet.
It is going on.
Madhav, I can spend all day here chatting with you about all of this. I love the space you're in. I'm a big fan. I'm a big user. I just want to thank you for spending time with us today. And,
this has been
you know,
great. Yes.
The audience hopefully got a lot of good nuggets out of here, so thank you.
No, love the atmosphere.
Well, cool. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching.